Welcome to Clicks and Coffee. I'm Alexander, and here we dive deep into the journeys of entrepreneurs and marketing innovators. Each episode, we uncover the challenges, triumphs, and unique strategies of our amazing guests, giving you valuable insights and inspiration. Our goal is to build a community of growth oriented professionals ready to learn, collaborate, and thrive in the ever evolving world of digital marketing. So whether you're here for the latest trends or looking for that next big idea, you've come to the right place. Let's get started. Today, we've got Alex Montanez, the owner and CEO of Rovali, joining us. Alex has been in the restaurant business for over 15 years, but he's also a podcaster and digital marketer. And I can't wait for you to hear his story. Let's dive in. Alex, thanks for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it.
All right, so let's get started with how did you end up in the restaurant business, and more specifically, as of today, how did you end up doing podcasting and restaurant business and e-commerce business?
Well, back in the day, I come from an IT background myself. And I actually owned an internet company, and we had satellite offices in the UK and in New York. I had 3 data centers here in Utah, and so we did web development and anything to do with the internet, back office applications and so forth. But one day, my daughter fell in love with a chef. She was going to school in San Diego, and me being an entrepreneur, when they came here to Utah to get married, and when they went on their honeymoon, I'm just going to say this real quick because it's a really cool story. But when they went on their honeymoon, I sat down with my wife and I said, "What would you think about opening a restaurant?" Because I wanted to keep them here in Utah. And when they went on their honeymoon and came back, they spent one day here in Ogden, Utah, and before they started their new married life in San Diego. And I looked at this man that I didn't know, and I said, "How would you like to own your own restaurant?" And his eyes went about this big, and the rest is kind of history. So we built this restaurant, and it's all family. My youngest daughter is our baker. She makes all of our desserts from scratch. My eldest daughter, who married the chef, she's our general manager. My wife does financials. I do all the marketing stuff and internet stuff. And then my baker daughter, the younger one, she fell in love with one of my chefs, and so they got married. And so it's all family. And here's the funny part. We haven't killed each other in almost 19 years.
That is pretty good.
That's how I got into it. Now, here's one thing so I was going all over the place, and the restaurant was just starting out. And one day, my wife came to me and she said, "Alex, we need you here full time." And immediately, without really thinking about it, I said, "Okay." So from that point, I sold my internet company and went into the restaurant business full time. So I'm bringing all that. I don't want to say expertise. Maybe it's better formulated as baggage. But I brought all that with me to do the marketing and stuff for the restaurant, and still stay involved, because when it comes down to it, I'm a technical nerd for sure.
And so, because the restaurant is not the only thing that you have, so how did you, so because I saw on your LinkedIn profile that you also were doing some podcast or producing. So what is that about as well? Is that like you were like, okay, now I have a restaurant, okay, let me try doing something, or maybe it's like another member of your family that met someone that was doing podcasting, and like, let me open a podcasting producing company?
I have this problem. My problem is I have to be creative. And so I'm always doing things like new ventures, not necessarily new companies, but new things. For example, I create all the imagery for my restaurant. And the stuff I don't know, I learn on YouTube through Photoshop and so forth. but I'm always creating, and that's my outlet. That keeps me sane. Is just to be able to create. And so I started doing a podcast actually when the pandemic hit, because I wanted to keep people in a positive light through all of that, that darkness and all that stuff going on. And so I just started making a daily little podcast just to encourage people and talk about, tell them jokes or whatever, and talk about our restaurant and our food and so forth. And so that's how that kind of got started. And then I'm a big UFC fan. If you're familiar with MMA, it's a
So
kind of
it's
a fighting.
the fighting in the octagon style.
Yeah. So I created a site called Knuckle Sandwich, and I started doing it by myself. And then one of my cooks at the restaurant, he was really interested as well. So we formulated a team and just started doing these podcasts and had a lot of fun.
So you keep innovating and trying new things.
Yes.
And so it's funny that you're talking about COVID, because one of the things that really intrigued me about your company and your restaurant is that there is a whole side of your website that is e-commerce. So how did that come about? As because a lot of owners of restaurants today, all they do is have a website with the images of the restaurant, the menu, and then a lot of the time they partner with companies like DoorDash or Uber Eats to do the ordering. But you really push that a lot further, and we can buy cakes, we can buy drinks, we can buy like pretty much everything and get it shipped or delivered. So how did you come up with that idea, and how did you make it work?
Well, those are really good questions, because I like to encourage, like, for example, I don't view on my street, we're on a historic district, okay? And on my street, there's at least, I want to say 11 restaurants on our street within a 3-block area. And, but I don't look at them as competition. Sometimes I do, sometimes I get a little jealous, but most of the time I don't, because I want small businesses to thrive. I used to be the president of Historic 25th Street Association, and so we had a local community business owners on that street that would come together to come up with strategic marketing plans and really help each other out. And I still hold that philosophy today, not just for my street though, for small business period. And one thing that I realized, especially coming from the IT background and the internet background, is that how often we use these, and that really is we're tied to them. Most people are tied to them, and so that is a valuable tool. And there's no end to the creativity that you can do with it. And so even if you're not a creative person, some of the views that I get the most on are little videos that I pull out while I'm at the restaurant and say, hey, check out this. This is our food coming hot off the grill. And I'll show it, and we get all kinds of views on it, So it's not necessarily always professional, hardcore, you got to have this design team or whatever. It's a matter of being creative, stepping outside that box, and not being afraid to fail. Because that's helped me a lot. Is I'm not afraid to, if something falls flat, it's like being a comedian at a show, and you tell jokes and nobody's laughing, and you can feel yourself sweating, you're getting nervous and stuff like that, but you keep moving forward, right? And eventually somebody's going to laugh, and it's the same thing, and that's what I would like to encourage entrepreneurs. Don't be afraid of failure, but most importantly, learn from it. And to me, that's one of the most important things.
And so when did you make that shift of coming up with new ideas and starting e-commerce on your website and promoting e-commerce for your restaurant, of starting an e-commerce part of business for your restaurant?
Just because the biggest key for me on that question right there is you have to look at multiple revenue streams. You have to look at how many avenues that you can make money as, because if you just stick on, for example, brick and mortar storefront, okay, you only get those people that see you, that know about you. That's it. That's what you get. And you only get a percentage of that. So as you start to lop off those things of maybe somebody wasn't happy with the food, they're never coming back, or somebody's traveling through and you'll never see them again, And so my thought has always been, and it's always been that way ever since I was a little kid, is how do I make money with this? Because you put so much effort into something, but you don't think about, okay, what angles can we use to get people to know that I'm here? And not only to know, that's great, but to buy, how do we do it? And so that's what I'm constantly thinking about, is the different revenue streams of how I can do it. For example, my daughter never used to be our baker. She came to me one time when she was young. I think she was like 19, maybe, when we first started the restaurant, because I was getting my desserts from vendors and stuff like that, already pre-made and that kind of stuff. But we were really, because I had a chef, all of our stuff was original except for the desserts. So we were getting those. And one day she came to me, she says, Dad, I can do better desserts than this. And I said, go away, kid, you bother me, because we were doing okay. We were doing pretty good. And she kept bugging me that she could do better. And I said, you have no training. You've never gone to baking school. You're not a pastry chef or anything like that. And she's like, Dad, I can do better. And I said, okay, because I wanted her to stop bugging me about it. She was bugging me like every week. And then finally I gave her a challenge. I said, I had a piece of tiramisu that they had frozen and flown in from Italy. It was a really good tiramisu. I have to admit, it was very, very good. And I held up this piece of tiramisu to her and I said, listen, if you can do it better than this, then we'll talk about it. And I kid you not, the next week she came up to me and she presented me with a tiramisu. And I took one bite, and this is no exaggeration whatsoever. I took one bite and I said, you're our baker. And from then on, she started to do it. And here's an exciting thing before I get on to how we started selling this. But this month or next month will be our century mark on original cake recipes. We have 99 cakes in our repertoire.
Oh, wow. Okay, so she's not kidding when it comes to baking.
Yeah, and they're very creative too. And I'll give you a description of one cake. We have one called the German pecan pie caken. Okay, and the pie caken, I think we kind of coined that term. We bake a pecan pie inside of a German chocolate cake, a whole pie.
I have to be careful if I come to your town.
So with that, it was like, okay, we've got this product, we've got this amazing product, but not enough people know about it. Just the people coming in the store, into the restaurant, but with my background, I understand the far range of the internet and what a valuable tool it is. And so I just started thinking, okay, we need to start doing this. Like, we need more people to know about it. Well, there's only one way to do that, and on a large scale, and that is through the internet. And so I said, we need to just formulate a bakery. Like, we don't need a separate brick and mortar, because a lot of people think, entrepreneurs, small business people, if it's something in my industry, right? They think, okay, well, we're going to build a bakery over there, or we're going to open another Rovali's over here, over here, over here. And to me, my thinking is, well, no, we want just multiple revenue streams coming to something that we can control. And that was important to me, because the quality has to be, we hang our reputation on the quality of our food and our desserts. And if you look at reviews, you'll see that reflects it, and so with the thought of the bakery and not opening another brick and mortar store for a bakery, because I said in my restaurant, Alexander, this is part of my business thought process. In my restaurant, every square foot has to earn its own keep. So if you have something that's not making any money, for example, or bringing in, generating revenue, then you change it out and make it so. For example, I've got a small bar that we have wine, cocktails, and our desserts and everything in that area. That little square footage area has to generate revenue in order to justify itself. And when you start thinking that way of all these revenue streams, not just, inside the physical location, but outside of what's generating revenue through the internet, and all of these e-commerce possibilities. And if it's not, okay, well, you try and tweak it, of course. You don't just throw things away because, it falls flat. But if the tweaks or things that you do don't work, then you try something else. And don't be afraid to try. That's why I say don't be afraid to fail. And I hope that answers your question a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, but it's pretty fascinating. And so how do you, because, the point of the podcast is also to talk about digital marketing secrets of people. So how do you manage do you manage differently the website part of your business and the restaurant itself? Or how do you do to effectively, as you said, bring revenue for the bakery part and for the e-commerce part and for the restaurant? Is that something that you really separate and then look at separately, or is it like a whole, or you look at it as a whole?
You're asking some really great questions. And I hope I have a really good answer for you, because first thing I can tell you is doing business with my family and knowing who your team is, and knowing that they're doing, their job or their tasks or whatever it is that they're in charge of, that gives me the freedom. I kind of view myself as the umbrella over everything. Okay, I'm the CEO, but I view myself as the umbrella, not to micromanage everything, because no one has time for that, right? There's a lot of tasks involved in any small business, a lot of tasks. So I can say, yes, I wear many hats, but thank goodness I don't have to say that. But I can concentrate on the e-commerce. I can concentrate on the website. So everything that has to do technically is my responsibility, including I fold the marketing into that, because like I said, I'm a nerd, and I'm always looking at the new technologies, the new things that people come up with. And I'm not afraid. It doesn't have to be my idea. Okay. I don't get stuck on any of that stuff. If somebody has a great idea and I can utilize that tool, I'm going to utilize that tool, And so that's another good thing is I'm open to learning. I'm always learning. For example, I'll give you something really simple. Okay. If there's a technique that I see on CapCut, because I use CapCut in some of my videos, or Photoshop, and I don't know how to do it, I'm not going to spend a lot of time, for example, making a font that looks like glass. Okay. I'm not going to spend a lot of time learning. I'm going to go to YouTube. I'm going to look up how to turn a font into glass on CS6, and it's there. And so I just go and follow it. And then once I build my template, this is the cool thing that I do. Once I build a template, it's done. It may take me a little while to build the template, but once it's built, that's why I build it. I build it for multiple uses, not just do it and forget. So if I'm creating an ad, for example, and I want to use the glass font, I just go to my file manager and type in glass font, and boom, my image comes up, and then I can change it to whatever I want without having to relearn it again.
And so you managing, every aspect, I would say, of the marketing of your business. What are, in your opinion, like what is, by, I would say, order of importance, the digital marketing and marketing efforts you're doing that allows you or allows people to know about your restaurant and keep growing?
I am utilizing a number of different social media platforms. The one thing that I've never been good at is SEO. Okay, never been really good at that because I'm more on creative. That's how my mind thinks. But I've surrounded myself with good people because being in the internet business, I still have a large network of people that I can always reach out to for different things, and that's a good thing too, especially for entrepreneurs. You're not in it alone. Don't tackle it alone. You don't have to, because I'll tell you one thing right now, that people like yourself, okay, you want to have this podcast to help other people, okay, and so I call those brain dumps. If you go to somebody that knows something really well, that's an expert, they're more than happy to do a brain dump, okay, and it's up to you to capture that, to funnel that information. But the next piece that's really tricky that most people lose out on is they get the brain dump, but they don't know what to do with it. It's like a folder with 1,000 files, but they're not labeled. And once you label them, and like I said with the glass font, once you label them and you have that tool, I have all these tools and I know where to find them, then the creative process gives you, it becomes freedom for you, because I have this, oh, I know how to do that. Oh, I've got this, or I've tried this one on a social media platform and it fell flat on its face. Nothing happened. And then I did this other one that I spent 15 seconds on, and boom. So it's not trying to find that one perfect recipe, because it changes, and as well as I do within the internet industry, the ebbs and flows, right, of it, and even algorithms change things, right? Algorithms change things. So once you may have been doing something that's been very successful for 6 months, and then all of a sudden nothing. And so you have to be aware and be ready to change, not say, well, it'll come back, and then 6 months later it doesn't come back, and you've lost that 6 months, right? So it's a matter of it's like fishing. You throw it in a fishing a hole and you're not getting any hits, and then you throw it over here and boom, it strikes. And so when you put too much emphasis on, well, I got to strike over here, I caught a really big fish over here one day, so I'm going to go over there, and you don't catch it for a week, and so you try something else.
So it seems to me that you don't really have, I would say, like a set order of marketing tactics, but more you like to experiment different marketing tactics and then kind of see what's working. If it's working, you're doing it, but at the same time you keep experimenting, keep trying things all the time, and really rotating between all of the different marketing platforms.
And that could be a positive and a negative, because I don't want to tell somebody this is the correct way to do it. But like I said, with me, I'm always in a creative mode. But it's similar to how my restaurant runs. For example, I switch out our featured dish every single week. When you come to Rovali's, if you come for a while, there's a new featured dish that you can try every week. We switch out. That's why we have 99 cakes in our repertoire. We switch out half of our desserts every week. There's something new to try all the time.
Oh,
all
my goodness.
the time, there's something new to try.
I'm happy I don't live in Ogden, Utah.
So
I would be there every week trying all of the desserts.
But that's part of my technique of how I do it. And yes, there is a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Good reason to develop a technique that you do. But mine is kind of a technique in and of itself, even though I keep experimenting, because I still follow the same steps. I just try different. I just try switching it up. If it doesn't respond within a time that I'm comfortable with, then I switch it up.
And so, for example, talking about that, how do you measure success of a marketing campaign, and how do you decide to keep doing it or doubling down on that particular, I would say, strategy, and how do you decide to stop it?
Well, the systems that we use, like for example, our point of sale system, it tracks everything. I mean, whatever data you want, from it, you can glean from it because it's all in a database. So we generate reports on what's selling, even time frames, because you can get whatever you want. I mean, everything is so analytical now, and you can do it quite easily without having to try and figure it out yourself. You just have, a nice platform that already has that stuff built in. Sometimes it costs money, sometimes it's free, but if they capture it, then you can capture it. And so we look at those kinds of things to see what made money. For example, we just talked about this the other day, and I'm glad you asked that question. So all of our cocktails are original cocktails as well, okay? And we have a whole bunch of them. But I look and I say, okay, give me the report on, let's say, for example, the spicy margarita. Okay, so the spicy margarita is got jalapenos in it. Okay, and give me the number of what we did on Saturday. Give me the number of what we did for the week. And then I'm going to compare it to others. Show me the numbers. And so we have one drink that just wasn't selling, and I marketed it pretty good, and I have great imagery and stuff of it. It just wasn't selling. So I said, okay, let me take this and I'm going to push it. Okay, I'm going to focus just on this one cocktail and let's see if it makes any difference. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. So what we do is if it doesn't, and I give it the old college try, for lack of a better term, we remove it and we replace it with something new. Okay, and so that's how I do it in making sure that if like I said, if it can't earn its keep, if it can't earn its spot on the menu, then we get rid of it and we come up with something new. But we don't leave a blank space. That's the other thing.
No, that's very interesting. And so
others come in.
And so basically, you're using your internal sales data to kind of see, what to market and how to market it, and making sure. Do you market? I would say, let's talk about an item like you were talking about cocktails. Do you always market it the same, or do you market it differently, or try like a different way? Let's say, for example, we're doing the margarita. You tried, it didn't work, and when you say you marketed, what was the what was the marketing efforts? Were you trying to do just more social media on it, or were you trying to do a campaign about like, hey, we have amazing drink, come and try our margarita? Or how did that go? And so I guess, after you did your marketing efforts, you looked at the sales and that was just not working, so you kind of stopped. But on the marketing side, what were you tracking? Or if we were just looking at like, okay, I did this, and then I'm looking at my sales and it's not working and I'm stopping. How do you, like, what was more of like the details of that?
I try to understand perceptions. Like I mentioned earlier, I can do a 15-second video real quick and it gets a lot of views and gets a lot of action, so to speak. And then other times I can put like all this production into it and make it, and so the perception is not always what I think a customer wants. Okay, it's a matter of being able to change on the dime, and that goes hand in hand with what you mentioned as far as the social media platforms is how I present them. Okay, so I don't just simply take an image of the spicy margarita and then put it on a different platform. I think, okay, what's not attractive about this? What isn't attractive about this? And sometimes you have to like curb your own ego, because you're like, well, I created this. This is beautiful. What are people thinking? That is bad. That's a bad way to think. Okay, because you're not buying the spicy margaritas, the people are. Okay, and I've done that. I've failed many times at that. Where I think look at this ad. It's fantastic. How come nobody's looking at it, So when you take your ego and put it to the side a little bit, then you're able to say, okay, this one worked really well. That's why I compare our stuff in-house all the time. What sells, what isn't, and why. Why is that selling? I'll ask questions. I'll taste things. Why is this selling? Why? So when I figure it out, and I ask people too. For example, if you came into my restaurant on a Friday or Saturday night, I'm going to be the one to seat you. I'm going to ask you if this is your first time with us. And if you say, yes, it is, I'm going to ask you the following question. And this is how I track some of my marketing. How did you hear about us? Oh, I found you on Google Maps. Okay. I don't go and write a chicken scratch or, put it in a database, but I remember. Okay. Okay. So, for example, last weekend, I said we had about 60 to 70% of the first time customers on Saturday alone that came from Google Maps. And here's the best part. They jumped off the freeway because they weren't even coming to Utah. They came to Rovali's because of my reviews on Google Maps. And so they exited I-15 freeway to come to my restaurant. And when you leave, after you come, I say, now you're part of the Rovali's family. Whenever you come to Utah, you come home. And you can't believe the responses you get, because even with all of the internet, okay, and all of the tools that we have, people still want to be recognized. And so when they come in, they're recognized. And I can't tell you how many people, when they come through Utah, they come home. And it's pretty cool. So that's part of my marketing strategy too. So it's all kind of linked together. I find out where they come from when I'm face to face with them.
How do you measure that? Because it's very interesting that like you're paying attention to that. You said you're remembering, but do you like write it down after that and kind of measure it on a monthly basis?
No, because like I said, if you try to pigeonhole it for me, okay, if you try to pigeonhole it, it makes it very difficult because then you start to formulate these little, because trends change too quickly. That's why I don't do that, okay? But one thing I do know is I know how many people are coming from TripAdvisor. I know how many people are coming from Yelp, Google, and do I put more emphasis on Google? Yes, I do, because that's where the majority of the people come from, okay? Do I shortchange Yelp and the other social media platforms, X and so on and so forth? No, I do not. But I know where the majority comes from. And so I'm focusing a little bit more on that, because sometimes, unless you have and I've been kind of looking around for this too, without it costing you an arm and a leg, is a marketing companies that will put it out on all platforms. The problem is right now is, especially in this inflation and the cost of everything, the cost for that kind of service is really high. You have to sell a lot of stuff just to, pay for that. So that's why I'm trying to do, if there was a solution for me that would take that off my plate, and I did, one pitch, one image, and it went, and I know they're out there, but some of them are quite expensive. If it was reasonable to me, I would do it in a millisecond, because it's valuable. In fact, right now I'm getting my website redone, not by me, but by another company, and they specialize in SEO. And so I'm investing in that because I understand, everybody, they're not even looking on desktops anymore for food or anything. They're looking on this, right? And so that's what you have to develop it for, is that tool right there.
For sure, mobile. Yeah, for sure, mobile first.
Yep.
And so so when you talk about Google, I guess the reviews are important. So is it the reviews, and are you doing any ads on Google, like any local listing ads and everything?
Yeah, most of the stuff I do on Google are not paid advertising
Mhm.
because I do so much. I post every single day.
On Google My Business, so adding to your business listing. Okay. And how do you collect reviews? Because I know everybody knows now that like you can ask a friend, you can ask your mom, you can ask your best friend, hey, do you know about a good restaurant in the, a good restaurant? Whatever they tell you, what is the first thing that we're going to do is go on Google Maps and then say, is this person telling me the truth? Which means like, I'm going to look at the reviews and make sure that that person is not lying to me, or like, we have to agree. So how do you, so I imagine that you're paying, a good attention to reviews. How do you work on getting reviews?
Um, right now, it's kind of taking a life on its own. And I think it's because of just the frequent posts that I do. And because people that come in from a Google Maps, or Google recommendation, when they come into Rovali's, they automatically, so because they came on Maps, it's sending them, when they're leaving, it's sending them, do you want to rate this restaurant? Do you want to
Yeah,
rate this
true.
business? And so it's just right there, bing, 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 you know. And the one thing I would like to tell entrepreneurs, as far as reviews go, is don't have heart attacks when you get a 1-star review, when you get a 2-star review, when you get a negative review, because there'll be a good one coming down. You pay attention to it and make sure, that you can fix something that's you don't ignore it, but you don't let a great day go down the tubes because you got a negative review. You know what I mean? Because you still have to keep positive. Just like I did through the pandemic with my podcast, I'd just be positive, be positive. And so, but that's kind of how I track with the Google reviews.
But you don't
And
try to get reviews inside the restaurant after people ate.
no, because this is what I've learned. Okay, because I'll have people that leave Rovali's and they'll stop by because I'm at the podium. They'll stop by and they'll say, you know what, that's the best food that I've ever had, and this is the best tiramisu or whatever. And I say, yeah, if you don't mind, leave us a review. That very seldom works because they I don't want to say, I want to choose my words carefully here, but a lot of people don't leave reviews when you do that. It's like they want to do it on their own when they're still excited, right? Instead of saying, hey, yeah, leave us a review. Oh, okay. Because, I've had people do that to me and I've never left a review. But when I just think about it, I'm like, man, you know what? That experience was great. I'm going to get on and type a review for them, and let them know. And sometimes I say, I'm going to leave a review for you guys because you took great care of us, and I don't. And it's not that I lie. It's just you get busy and then you forget about it and then you move on. So I don't want that feeling either that, oh, that guy said he was going to give us a review and he didn't, no.
Have you ever experimented with, have you heard about NFC, the near field connection? So it's like, so, it's in the phones and everything. And now they came up with systems where you have those little discs and that say like, leave us a Google review. And then people would tap with their phone and that would take them to the page of the review automatically. Have you ever experimented or looked into that? Because I've personally had the experience and I thought that was, I agree with you. Like when somebody asked me, can you please leave? I was like, yeah, sure. I'll do that when I get home. And half of the time, it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just that like I'm home,
Right.
I'm done, I'm ready to do something else and I forget. However, when I had this business that not made me, but they had that thing that was fun because, you tap it with your phone, what's going to happen, and then, oh, it's to leave a review. Okay, cool. Let me just leave a quick review because it was easy and simple to do. Have you
Yeah.
ever
And
experienced that?
yeah. And as a matter of fact, I've got a poster on my wall. And it's got, the icons for
The QR code?
Twitter, X, and Instagram, and so on. And then it's got a QR code, so they can scan that and go to our restaurant or leave a review or something like that. So yeah, I do have all those things. The thing that's interesting with Rovali's in particular is you go in there and everything is visual, like everything. And I'm talking the ceiling lights. I got these lights that I can change to 67,000 different colors and patterns. And so it's just everything, like I said, everything that I visualize is creative. And so we have all that stuff. But I don't measure that. Like, I don't go and say, okay, this one's working or that one's working, because, and maybe I should, I don't want to say that, I have a great reason why I don't, but I don't think I worry about it as much, because people are getting inundated on their phones from everywhere all the time. You know what I mean? So for me, I kind of want my food to speak for itself, and that they'll remember and that they'll come back. I've had customers that have been with us since day one. They keep coming back since the first time we opened. And that tells me a lot too. But the majority, and I'll tell you this right now, Alexander, the majority of people that come into Rovali's on the weekend when I'm there, I would say 70%, if not, maybe a little less, are first timers. And that's crazy.
It is.
That's crazy. One thing about me is I have the spiel for the customers, okay? And I remember faces for like ever. And I don't know why. Well, I figured it out because, and I tell people this when they come to Rovali's, they say, I always wondered why I remember people's faces. And I said, it's because I don't look at you as a customer. I look at you as friends and family, and you don't forget friends and family. And it's like, oh, but it's true. I think that's because, like I said, I don't refer to them as customers like ever. They're friends or family, and I'll barely use guests. But I think that kind of stuff helps. And I have people, we're a state that has a lot of outdoor stuff. We got the Ogden Marathon, which is a precursor for the Boston Marathon. And so we have all kinds of people come from all over the world to Little Ogden, Utah. And they find me and they come back year after year for the marathon to get their pasta on, their carbs on, And so that's really cool that you feel comfortable that, oh, we go to this place right here.
That's exciting. So when I, hear you speak, and that's one of the things that at Pentelope we believe in, which is consistency and that marketing. So, we specialize in digital marketing, but for us it's always about, day in and day out, making sure that we do the things. And from what I hear from you is that the two main things that you're consistent with is making sure your customer experience and the food is consistently good. And on the digital marketing side, to make sure that you're posting a lot. And I'm on your actually Google Maps page, and I don't remember seeing that many restaurants with 1,500 pictures. So and so, when you look at it on as potential clients, potential customer, it looks like your restaurant is extremely popular because it has 1,500 pictures, meaning that a lot of people post. Doesn't mean that a lot of people post, but you're posting a lot, which makes it very exciting, and you can really discover what the experience is. So it's really exciting to see your digital marketing technique, where it's not just about spending money on advertising, but really about consistency and how the digital presence of your restaurant reflects, on people. And so, for everybody that has a restaurant and that's listening, or that knows somebody, you can check out Rovalis, and that's a great example of consistency on the experience, but also consistency on putting your name out there and showing how it is inside the restaurant on a daily basis.
Well, and I'll tell you one piece I forgot.
Oh.
And that is, I'm a walking billboard. Okay. If you see me anywhere, and I mean anywhere, if anywhere in the world, wherever I'm at, I'm wearing a Rovali's t-shirt. always. I look like Johnny Cash because I'm all in black. I dressed up for you today, okay? But and for example, we just went to a concert in Deer Valley. It's a resort, a ski resort,
Yeah,
and we
very
went to see
famous.
Ziggy Marley. You know who Ziggy Marley is?
Yeah, Bob Marley's son.
Yes. So we're there, and we got to hang out with Ziggy. Okay. I don't know how it happened, but we did. Um, what did I tell him? I said, whenever you're in Ogden, you come to my restaurant. You come to Rovali's, I'll take good care of you.
And did he come
And
yet?
yeah, I'm always marketing. I don't, I don't worry about it because see, that's my family. It's not just a business, it's my family. My all my children earn their livelihood from it, and so that's how I think about it. It's not just, oh, he's marketing his business, or he's no, I don't think of it that way. One time we went to Kauai, and I made family shirts because we travel together too. My family, we closed down a restaurant, we travel. Okay, but I made these shirts, and it had a Hawaiian theme on it, but it said Rovali's Ristorante Italiano. And I can't tell you how many people came up to me and said, hey, where's your restaurant? We want to come and eat at it tonight. I said, you got to go to the mainland.
That is too funny. So I have, a couple of questions that I like to ask every guest. So what is your favorite app or tool that you use daily, and that, like, literally that's the thing that you're doing at least once a day or multiple times a day that helps you with, marketing your business?
Okay. So my tools is CapCut. And I paid for because there's free versions, and then there's a subscription. I pay for CapCut, and then also Photoshop are my two main tools, and of course my phone. Make sure that I got a great camera that has good high resolution, capabilities, because everything is visual to us with the internet, right? Everything is visual, so that's what you take into account. Everything has to be really beautiful to look at. Even if it's not creative, it's got to be beautiful to look at. And then as far as my platforms go, I like the ones that I mentioned, the ones that I'm involved in, because there's a bunch of them that I'm not involved in. And I need to like spread my wings. I'm just trying to find the time to do that. And I think that's where a good marketing company can come in to help, because sometimes it's not a matter of revenue or the cost of a marketing company. It is a matter of time, because time is money, right? And so if you don't have the time, then spend some money on a marketing company that can provide tools, especially with AI.
And also specifically what I think about it is also, as you said, time is money, but we spent the time learning everything. So basically, it's kind of like a speed up way to help you get to where you want to go. And that's how I see any type of service provider, coach, or anything that specialist in their domain is, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, learn it from somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with AI too. The stuff that's coming out with that. That's why I decided to redesign my website with the SEO, to kind of really beef that up, because all my imagery, if I'm putting it all there, then it's getting out to where it needs to go, right? People are seeing it because I'm putting all that effort in. I want as many eyeballs as humanly possible to see that, whatever it is. Now I'll tell you one thing that I've asked, because I always get approached by marketing companies all the time. But one thing that I always ask, and very few give me the answer that I'll say that I want to hear. Okay, because of course they tout, their best selling points, because they're marketing, right? But they're saying, we can generate this much revenue, we can, generate this. One thing I ask them, and they always go real quiet, except for a couple, is, okay, so give me a 3-month or 6-month free trial run, and let me see if you can deliver. If you can deliver, then we got a deal. Then we can talk. And then that's when they go quiet because, they've got resources that they have to put into it and everything like that. But here's the thing, from a small entrepreneur to the others that may be listening to this, is if somebody did that for me, okay, if somebody said, okay, I'll give you 3 free months because I'm going to show you our product is solid, our service is solid, and then you're going to feel good about turning your livelihood over to me, because that's really what's happening.
Yep.
And that's why entrepreneurs get nervous about that. Okay, they get nervous about that because I'm putting my future in your hands, right? And not the whole thing, but that's how people think that are entrepreneurs, right? It's like, okay, how much is it going to cost me? And that's always like the top fear or top tier, however you want to look at it. But if somebody said that to me and they did it, this is what I would say to them, and it was successful. This is what I would say to them. I will be loyal to you, because I am. If somebody gives me the services that they say they can deliver, I don't go shopping all the time. I'm trusting. I'll be loyal to you. For example, T-Mobile, okay? I've been with T-Mobile for 19 years.
Oh, wow.
I've had 10 cell phone lines with them. And because they give me the service that I need at the price that I can afford and I want. And they always, whenever I call for technical support, they're always like, I noticed you've been with us this long. We want to thank you. And I was like, okay, well, give me a price break. How about that? No, I don't say that, but I think it.
Oh, you should.
But that's what I'm saying
do.
about marketing companies, because if they can prove, because you can say everything, well, look at all these numbers and everything, but that doesn't tell me what you're doing for me. And so that's the question I would ask any marketing company that I'm interested in. And most of the time, I'll say, well, we can't do that or this or that, and then it falls flat. And so that's why I don't use a lot. I use a little bit, but I'm using as much free stuff as I can because it is free. And as a small business, unless that revenue starts to come in, you don't think about it. For example, if you offered a service to me and all of a sudden my sales went up, let's say 7 to 10%, that's great. That's fantastic. I don't have any heartache of going, my money's flying out the window and I'm not bringing it in. It's got to ebb and flow, right? And then you start to say, okay, well then let's do this service because you've already provided 10% increase in sales on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. What can I get for 15%? How do we do that? How do we get it up? And then pretty soon you get somebody, because you're providing that service and providing results. They don't think about it. They don't think about what they're paying you and being nervous about it or anything like that, because especially right now, I can't even get some food sometimes. They just don't have it for my restaurant. And so you have all these concerns. And so from a marketing perspective, as far as if I owned a marketing company, I would consider those things. I would put myself in the shoes of the entrepreneur, of the current situation, the current climate. And that's how I would look at it, because that's how I look at my marketing as well.
All right. So to summarize, the biggest thing in your opinion, or at least in your experience on marketing a restaurant, is to make sure that we have two things, is a great food and customer experience, and specifically a lot of, I would say, multimedia. So I see that you have pictures and that you have a great visibility on all of the platform, a lot of pictures, a lot of videos, being present on social media, and have a visual experience also in the restaurant to encourage people to take pictures and themselves post on their own social media as well.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good summary of my business and how I look at it too. But I'm always looking to improve. I'm always looking for a great tool. trust me, I go far and wide, to find the tools, because you can't rest on your laurels. Even if something is, semi-successful, if you're not growing, you're not growing.
Yeah,
And that's the idea of any business, right? You want to continue to grow. But you have to, like you said, you have to maintain that consistency. You can grow really big and then give really crappy product because you can't keep up with it, because your structure, is the foundation is not secure, right? So it's like a symphony. You got all these instruments, and if that triangle ringer rings off key at the
you
wrong
have to
time,
make sure you're fixing it. But that's one of the things that we tell all of our clients is digital marketing and marketing in itself is not magic. You have to have consistency. It's every day, every week, every month, and a lot of the time. And mentioning the SEO part, SEO, I see it as like a humongous balloon that you have to inflate with. You have to inflate. And so at the beginning, that balloon, because it's so big, it doesn't look like it's getting inflated. So it takes time, but you have to keep blowing it, because otherwise it's not going to get anywhere. And all of a sudden, like you're making a lot of efforts to try to inflate the balloon, and then all of a sudden you're turning around, it's like, oh my goodness, it's getting big. And then it keeps getting big, but you have to keep feeding it, because if you stop feeding it, then it starts deflating. It's not as fast as a balloon, but it's something that we always try to stress with every client is you cannot stop doing it. If you stop doing it, it's just going to go down, and people are going to take advantage. The great thing is that when you have a competitor that is trying to start blowing his balloon as well, you're already halfway there. And so by the time he catches up, you're going to be already so high that it's going to be very hard to do it. So I appreciate that you're looking into that, because it's a thing that a lot of people don't understand how it works really, and don't understand that it's consistency.
Well, let me say one final thing about that, because you made a very, very good point, and that is small business owners or entrepreneurs, when they get involved with marketing companies, that's exactly what they think. I'm paying you money, so make magic, and I don't want to do anything else. I'm giving you the stuff, and you make it all happen, and then I'm going to go about my business, and that's one giant thing off my plate. But it doesn't work that way. That's like you saying, that's like me saying, well, I don't have a dishwasher anymore. Well, the plates are going to get dirty and they ain't coming back clean because there's nobody to wash them. You have to keep everything greased and oiled and running, and that includes marketing. Marketing is not the end all be all. It is a vital piece that you have to feed, like you said. So I want to make that clear, because a lot of people, and including me at one time, was like that. I did hire a marketing company, and I didn't do my piece. For example, with the website I'm building right now, I got to do a lot of work. Well, what are you talking about? I'm paying you money to develop this. Yeah, but we need all this stuff that we don't have. We don't know. Only you know. So you gotta do it. And so entrepreneurs, if you're listening to this, and you're looking for a marketing company, Alexander is exactly right. You have to feed the machine. You have to keep it greased, and they're a vital tool to help you grow, but you have to participate. You can't just let it go.
Very wise words. All right, Alex, thank you so much for joining us today. And so, I asked that question before the podcast, and unfortunately, no, you cannot go on the website and order the cakes if you don't live, locally, because all of the ingredients are extremely fresh, which I was very disappointed, which means that, I might have to travel to Utah. But you can find Rovalis is ROVALIS.com. Super easy to find. I just typed, even Rovalis, Utah, and you find the restaurant very easy. So if you guys are planning to go to Utah, take a look at the restaurant. It looks amazing. I heard tiramisu. That's one of my favorite desserts. So, I'm going to have to try and make sure you're not lying to us about how good it is.
Well, if you come 5 years from today, I'll remember you.
Okay, we'll try that. I try to go to I try to travel once a year in the US and discover a new place. So you might see
Where are
me
you? Where are you? Where are you?
I'm based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Oh, Fort Lauderdale. Psh, I go there all the time.
So next time you're there,
Yeah,
you can give me a call. I'll be
yeah.
happy to show you around.
One of my business colleagues lives there.
Oh, really? That's funny. All right, cool. So Alex, thank you so much for being here.
It's
And
a pleasure.
we'll hopefully get some tiramisu one day together.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you for a wonderful interview. Great interview, and appreciate the invite.